We're here with Danny Elfman. Hello.
Hi.
Legendary composer Danny
you.
Elfman. We're so excited for you to be here. Now, what was it like now? You've worked with Sam Raimi before. What was it like getting to re-team and to get back into the comic book movie genre?
Well, it was like double fun because I always love working with Sam, of course. But working with Sam on this movie was like, wow. Such a big canvas to work on and so crazy and so, it was just really great.
So when you have a canvas that's this big, I was reading an interview where you were talking about how very often you'll find a couple of themes that you'll really kind of focus on, and then ultimately that will lay the groundwork for the rest of it. Is that how you worked on this film? Was there a particular character that came to you first?
Well, it kept going between Wanda and Strange, and their themes were just constantly intertwining. So I don't even know who's got more thematic time, but both of them were really so fun to write for, because they're so good.
I'd ask you about which Wanda and which Strange, but we know you can't answer that, so.
I'm not even sure I can answer that.
Right. And you were talking about there's so many elements that you're also having to work with and interweave in as well. And there's also, Sam teased that there's some horror elements to this.
Yes.
What's the key to, interweaving those moments and building that suspense?
Well, any movie like this is a giant puzzle. And it's like putting together all the pieces of the puzzle. Just in this particular puzzle, there was some horror a la Sam Raimi. And so, of course, that wasn't really difficult for me to find that.
You've had a little bit of experience with horror before. I'm curious, do you have go-to instruments for this kind of soundtrack?
No, it's orchestra. It's still a big orchestra. Although for some of the horror stuff, I used a special extra low brass sound that's reminiscent of kind of a modern redoing of an old-fashioned horror sound that I happen to really like, that Sam likes also.
But you also, before you go here, I just want to plug that you all have a new album that just dropped recently. Can you tell us about that recent project that you had?
My album?
Yeah.
Well, that was just a surprise pandemic situation. Like a lot of people found themselves doing something they didn't expect, and that was me. It's like, oh, I didn't know I was going to do this, but that's what I'm doing. So, yeah.
And that's the amazing thing about this business. It's one artistic adventure after another. Yes.
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 And, obviously, those of us who are writers or composers, when we're stuck into quarantine, have a slight advantage over, everybody else. We just dig into that thing that we were thinking about in the back of our heads, and I guess that's what happened with me, so.
Well, we're no longer in quarantine. We have an amazing group of fans out here, so we're going to send you on your way so that you can bask in the adulation that they have for you. Thank you for stopping by and talking to the fans.
My pleasure. My pleasure.